In this video, we're going to learn how to draw objects in two-point perspective. We're going to start very simply with a standard puzzle cube piece. We're going to draw this perspective because when you look at it, it tends to fade away and it's a more natural looking sketch, which is why we would choose perspective to make it look more realistic. So when starting with a perspective sketch, we need to have a horizon line. So I'm going to follow lightly one of the lines on my orthographic paper that is in my engineering notebook. So this is my horizon line. It's two-point perspective, so I need to pick two different vanishing points. It will be easier for you when you're starting if you pick your 2 points far apart, but you don't necessarily have to have them far apart. Your 2 points can be anywhere. And then to create this corner right here, this edge, I'm going to draw a straight vertical line about in the middle between the two vanishing points. And the trick here is that after you make a vertical or horizontal line, you always draw in your vanishing lines. Very lightly, I'm making vanishing lines, and now I'm making them to both vanishing points. Notice that I'm making light sweeping strokes. That helps me keep my lines straight, but I am using pencil so that if I start to get curved a little bit or distorted, then I can erase because we are beginning sketching. Okay, so next I'm ready to make the depth of my cube. I need to make this space. I need to make this line right over here. However far back I feel is the right amount. And again, in order to keep your objects from looking distorted, you need to keep this vertical line as parallel to the vertical lines that are already drawn on your paper as possible. And anytime I put in a vertical or horizontal line, I'm going to draw to my vanishing point. I already have one there, so now I'm going to draw my vanishing line here. I'm not going to draw this one because it goes through the box, so then I'm going to be finished. Now I can darken in. This would be the bottom edge of my cube. This would be the top edge of my cube. My vanishing lines have shown me where that should be. Next, I need to put in the depth on the left. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. I need to put in the depth on the left side, so I'm going to eyeball about what I think is the right depth for my cube. That looks a little bit short. So I'm going to come a little bit farther out here, try to make it look like a cube. And again, trying to keep this vertical and as straight up and down parallel to these lines next to it as possible. And then once I put in a vertical or horizontal line, I need to draw from the edges to my vanishing point. And then that gives me the other edges. I can darken these in, make object lines out of my construction lines. And there is my cube in two-point perspective. And please don't forget to shade. If my sun is over here, then this side is going to be dark. And this side is going to be lighter. And the very top will be the lightest. So that will help you with some of your detail and visualizing. So there is an example of a puzzle cube in two-point perspective. Now let's try to draw an everyday object. So I'm going to choose a flash drive. You saw me draw it in one-point perspective in the last one. And I struggled with it a little bit because I'm not very good with one-point perspective. I really do prefer two-point perspective. So I'm going to start by penciling in my horizon line, and I'm going to choose 2 points to be my vanishing points. So I'm going to draw this kind of like this. This has the most detail, so this is going to be my front face. It's going to be on this side, and then I'm going to be looking off vanishing off this way. So I'm going to kind of be drawing it in this orientation. So to get started, I need to start with a straight vertical line. This is going to represent this flat back edge right here. Once you put in a vertical or horizontal line, we need to draw our vanishing lines. That one looks a little bit crooked to me. I'm going to fix it. Sorry, I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I'm not an artist. There we go. I like that one better. And then notice I'm making light sweeping lines. Right now these are construction lines. I will darken them once I figure out exactly where they go. And that one looks a little bit skewed as well. I need to get a little more straight. There we go. A little more straight in there. And then vanishing lines to there. Okay. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out about how far do I think is this piece right here. And I'm going to draw it, I'm going to outline it. On my vanishing line. And then I will make a vertical line coming straight down. Notice I'm leaving an opening because I'm going to have to leave space to draw this silver piece coming out off of the edge. And this will be this is my front face. And once I draw this vertical line in, I need to draw back to my vanishing point. And then again, I won't draw this one because it is going to go behind the object. And then I left this opening here, so I'm going to draw from the top of this, I'm going to draw my vanishing line. That's going to help me know where to draw the silver piece that's going to stick out. So based on my vanishing lines, then I'm going to pick and draw a straight vertical line here to represent that silver part that is sticking out. And then I can draw a vanishing line to there, and that will let me know how far back to make that silver part. And I have two little black squares on it, so there they are. Then on the front I have these little squares on the front of my flash drive. I'll put it back up here so you can see it. Now if I had more time, I would be using my vanishing lines right through here to help me draw those 9 little boxes that I need on this. Then there's this little cutout part. Oh, next I want to do the depth. I want to figure out about how thick do I think represents my flash drive. And I'm keeping this line parallel to that one. And then it does kind of do this curvy thing. So I'm going to try to represent the curve through this right here. And then we have this opening here on the top that kind of curves and comes down, and it curves right here. And it curves on the side here. Oh, doesn't go all the way down. This is where it says relay. This one, it's looking a little bit distorted because I did not keep that line vertical with, notice how when I make that vertical, it lines out a little bit better. Doesn't look as distorted. And that's how I practice making my flash drive. And one thing you can do when you're trying to do round things, I know some of you on the other sketches, we had to draw cylinders and we had to draw jars. When you try, just as with that, in perspective, if you're trying to draw something that is round, please draw a box first very lightly that would hold your round object, and then go in and start to fill in the details. And I could have done that with this flash drive. I could have drawn a box, and I actually did that on my practice sketch. I'll show you here. Actually drew a box that would fit my USB, and then I modified it to round it off to make it look a little better, and it actually turned out better than when I tried to freehand it from the original. This is an example of 2-point perspective sketches and how you can always use your vanishing lines to help you determine where they fade away and where they vanish to. Be sure that when you're completing your assignment that you do leave these lines. This is part of your sketch. You will make your actual object lines darker, but you will leave these very light lines. Do not erase these for the assignment. When you're making sketches of your engineering, you will erase those when you're trying to provide concept sketches to present to a client. But for me, for the class, I'd like for you to leave those so I can see where your 2 points were. Thank you, and now you should complete the perspective sketching assignment, working numbers 4 through 6 and answering the conclusion questions in complete sentences in your engineering notebook.